From Kanfei Nesharim in Jewcology, this is the Year of Jewish Learning on the Environment video series. This video is titled Holy Use, Relating to Resources Sustainably.
I'm Rabbi Yonatan Neril, and I want to share with you a teaching about sustainable resource use. There are three things I'm going to mention. First, Jacob and his relation to physical possessions. Second, how in modern society many people have a different relationship to physical objects. And third, what we can learn from Jacob's example in terms of our living today. So let's start with Jacob. The Torah teaches that before Jacob encountered his brother Esau and Esau's 400-person militia, who was apparently coming to kill Jacob, Jacob brought his family across a stream and returned at night, according to the Talmud, to recover a few vessels that he forgot. The rabbis of the Talmud are puzzled by why Jacob would do such a thing, because he left his family vulnerable, and when he did this, right after, he had this life or death fight with an angel. So the Talmud and the Hasidic rabbis give a number of explanations. One of them is that Jacob realized that every possession that comes into his hands is something that he needs to elevate in holiness. That object came to him for a specific reason, and he needs to use that object to its fullest use. In this case, the few olive jars or teacups that he left, he needed to use them further, and that's why he went back to recover them. Second, I want to talk about resource use in contemporary society. Things today are cheaper and more abundant than they've ever been, and as a result, in many instances, it's easier to throw away something that's broken than it is to repair it. I can share with you a story of a friend who bought a plasma TV for about $3,000, and after a number of months that TV broke, and he called up the repair store, and they said to him, look, for the cost for you to repair this is going to be about $1,000. We would rather just take the TV and we'll bring you a new TV and you'll give us $1,000 instead. And that's what he did. He got rid of the old TV and he got a new one instead. And while that may be an extreme case, I know that happens in many other instances in terms of smaller things. So the third thing I want to talk about is how can Jacob's example of relating to possessions help us to come to a more sustainable way in terms of our own resource use. I believe that many environmental issues, whether it's large amounts of garbage or high energy production to produce goods, comes from how we relate to possessions and from a more disposable attitude, whether we see them as disposable or indispensable, and whether we see them as having a higher purpose for which they came into our possession. Jacob is really an environmental pioneer, and his attitude of relating to possessions as important and things that are not disposable, I think can help us and inspire us to also see them that way. The small things matter. For Jacob, it was about the small vessels, and for us, when we relate to our possessions not as things that we will use once or twice and then dispose of, but rather as things that God gave us to use. So this attitude can really help us reorient our own consumption and help the world to be more in balance. For more teachings on Judaism and the environment, please visit Jewcology.com.
For more information on this topic, please visit kanfeinesharim.org/learning or Jewcology.com.